All right, a very good morning, everyone. Just before we kick off, I'm going to give everyone a couple more minutes, so everyone can filter in, and then we'll get started. Alrighty, I think we shall kick off. So, once again, a very warm welcome to you all. Thank you so much all for joining us this morning, and you're welcome along to the latest in our Google Digital Garage training session series. And today we're going to be covering off the basics of Google Ads. We've got about an hour on the clock for today's session, but hopefully we should be able to get through it a little bit faster than that. So my name is Niall, and I'm a trainer for Google's digital skills training program, the Google Digital Garage. A little bit about me. So I'm an experienced digital marketing specialist myself and a trainer too, as well as having a background previously before that in the sports betting industry and also in the medical sales field in the US. And I've worked for Google specifically for just over 3.5 years now. It's also my great pleasure to introduce a very special guest along with us today, which is our moderator on the live chat, the great Michael Knowles. I like to call him the Professor of Newcastle. He is a self-professed digital marketing nerd, and even lectures on a number of the topics that we will be covering off today. So you couldn't be in a safer pair of hands. Michael's also a Google Digital Garage coach, and he'll be interacting with you and answering some of your questions via the instant chat to the right of the screen there. And you can identify Michael obviously by his name and also through the little blue spanner beside his icon there. A little bit of housekeeping before we kick off. Firstly, if you are having any trouble viewing the webinar right now, best thing is to just refresh your page. And if you would like to join in on the instant chat, which we definitely encourage you to do, you will need a YouTube account, but you can very easily set that up just by clicking on the box on the right there. We'll be pausing throughout the session to answer the more sort of complex questions or recurring themes that come up from the chat box. So please do, by all means, fire away with your questions in there. And just to let you know as well, this is not an isolated session. We're running this Google Digital Garage virtual training as part of a broader offering of our courses. So if you'd like to check out our schedule of upcoming webinars, amongst other bits and pieces, you can see the information on that in the description below, which links you through to our website where you can find everything. So feel free, by all means, also to share your experience on social media and tell your friends and family about these webinars using the hashtag Digital Garage. Lastly, if you have any feedback from today's session, please complete the feedback form, which is linked down in the description box below. And once you complete that feedback form, a link will appear for you to download a PDF of today's content. And I will also keep the webinar live for you to rewatch for 24 hours after this. So any gaffes that I may make along the way will be able to be enjoyed for a full day afterwards. And on the feedback front, Please, all feedback is good feedback for us. If you feel the content is really, really strong, we'd love to hear it. If you feel my haircut or my choice of background is absolutely horrendous, that's also fair game as well. And we're open to all of it. So with that, the housekeeping is done. Let's have a look at what we're going to cover off today. So on the agenda, I'm going to start with a little introduction to online advertising more broadly. Next, we'll go into an overview of how Google Ads specifically works. And thirdly, then I'll go into some more specifics about advertising with Google Ads and how to reach customers, including how to choose a campaign based on your specific business goals. As mentioned, we'll be pausing for 2 Q&A sessions in the midst of the presentation today. So be sure to leave your questions in the live chat, and Michael, as I said, will be ticking as many of those off as he possibly can. And then also we'll be, as I said, tackling some of the kind of the meatier topics in those Q&A breaks. All right, let's do this. So it's fair to say that online advertising has been around for a long time, and businesses both large and small use Google Ads to appear on search results pages, on web pages, with videos, in apps. You get the drift. I won't spend much time explaining why online advertising can drive business results, but suffice to say, to get results, you need to be found online where potential customers can see you, particularly when they're looking for info about the products and services that you offer. I think it's also fair to say that people no longer go online periodically, they live online. And I'm not just saying that because it sounds like a compelling soundbite. It's what the data shows and very much backs up. One study published in January of last year, so arguably these figures have even accelerated further since then, but estimates that the average person spends 6 hours and 42 minutes online every single day, and that's a lot of time. So for businesses, that's great news, but also a challenge. Today's consumers are deeply connected to the web, but it's not a simple linear straight line connection. There are many reasons why people go online, and many ways to find and access information online too. Also, many devices, like phones, smart speakers, tablets, laptops, computers, you name it. All this results in a very complex consumer journey. Here's an example journey and a theme that you'll see recurring throughout today's presentation. But have you ever started your day by heading to the fridge to get some milk for your coffee to find that the fridge wasn't cold? I have, and I can certainly tell you it's not a great way to start the day. Disaster. If you're like me, okay, let's be real, a imaginary, handier version of myself, your first reaction might be, I can fix this. Phone in hand, pop open Google search and start searching for how to do it. If you owned an appliance store for an appliance repair service, wouldn't that be a great place to appear? If I found a promising snippet about fridge repair in Google search results, I might visit that website to read a little bit more. But as I studied the article, I realized that I don't actually know what a condenser fan looks like. I genuinely don't. So fixing it might be tough, but I don't give up. Now I sit on my computer, pop open YouTube and search for a DIY refrigerator repair videos. Maybe if I can see a condenser fan repair, it will make a difference. After all, an image or video can be worth 1,000 words, as we know. So as I review the information I find online, I find more than I ever wanted to about fridge repair. I realize I do not own the tools required for the job. This project feels less like an interesting challenge than a daunting task. So it's time for a plan B. And I go back to Google search. I start researching buying a new fridge. I could buy a new one, but it will take at least 24 hours to get it delivered, and my food is rapidly going off. Time for plan C. I search for and find a highly rated local handyman. I click the phone number associated with this information, and we chat about condenser fans, and 2 hours later, he's at my house fixing the appliance. So everyone, I think it's a useful exercise. Just take a minute and think about what you did online this week, maybe this very morning. Did you search? Did you visit a website? Did you read a blog, watch a video, read customer reviews? Chances are that some of you, many of you, if not all of you, spend time online researching and making comparisons to help make an informed consumer decision or consumer choice. So the bottom line then is that today's online consumers consult multiple sources to find the information that they need. Routinely leveraging multiple sources helps them make better decisions ultimately, and they're more informed than they probably ever have been before. One common thread that you may have noticed in the consumer journey on every device is search. I think of it as the springboard for almost all online activity. So as business owners, and therefore typically website owners as well, you need to make sure that your site is a visible destination for every relevant search. By viable, I mean useful. For example, if my first search query was, why is my refrigerator warm? Your website could appear in the results if you have that answer on a web page. And if you happen to sell replacement units or offer repair services, bonus. Think about your potential customers and what their journeys might look like. Does your website help them? If not, consider a content strategy that fills content gaps or makes your site more compelling and more useful. The more relevant your website is to their search queries, the more opportunities you have to appear in the search results. So don't miss those valuable moments when consumers are searching for answers related to your products and your services. Online advertising is ideal for businesses both large and small, as we know, but in no small part because it can be held accountable. Its value to your business can be tracked and can be measured. Online advertising doesn't need much of a sales pitch in truth because the proof is in the results. If the campaign is not effective, there's no sugarcoating it. And when an advertising campaign is really effective, as we hope it will be for your business, you can see in the reports what actions happened as a result of your efforts. Another huge advantage, you control the budget. You decide how much you're willing to spend on your ad campaigns, and you can edit, pause, or cancel those at any time. So before we dive into driving business results specifically, I'll give you a quick overview of how advertising works more generally on Google. Advertisers use a product called Google Ads to run campaigns, as we know. So it all starts really with a question, a desire, or a need. Most people start looking for answers online by typing a search query into Google. Google's organic algorithm gets to work and creates a search engine results page, presenting websites and other resources that can help the searcher find answers. At the same time, but separately, the Google Ads algorithm runs an auction. Advertisers are bidding for opportunities to show their ads. Eligible ads compete for a spot on the search results page, above and below the organic results, and the winners, as it were, appear on the page, clearly labeled with an ads sticker. Searchers see the ads and hopefully take an action. For example, clicking to visit the website, or initiating a phone call on a mobile device, or calling a trackable number. These actions connect searchers with the advertisers, and that's how we drive business results. So this illustration that you can see on the slide right now shows how your ads may appear on Google search results page. So at the top, you may see images with associated product information. These are called shopping ads, and that's something which I'm going to touch on a little bit later on. Next, you see a text ad. They can appear above the organic results and below as well. Advertisers don't pay to show ads on the results page. They only pay if a searcher takes an action on the ad, and that's a really key distinction as well. An ad's position on the page relative to other ads is determined by something very important called ad rank. So ad rank is calculated using the bid amount, the ad's quality at auction time. So that includes stuff like the expected click-through rate, the relevance, and crucially as well, the landing page experience. So the ad rank thresholds, the context of the search, for example, the person's location, device, time of search, search terms, and other signals, as well as the expected impact of extensions and other ad formats, which are layered on top of it. So ad rank is recalculated every time an eligible ad competes in an auction. So as a result, ad position can fluctuate depending on competition, the person's search, and its quality at that exact moment. Ads can also appear on other Google sites, including Gmail, more than 2 million non-Google websites that are part of what we call the display network. And the Google Display Network reaches 90% of internet users worldwide across millions of websites, news pages, blogs, and Google sites like Gmail and YouTube. A few things to know about Google Ads before we go any further. I'm guessing that many of you out there have heard of the term PPC or CPC, and it means just that: pay for a click or a desired action, not just to appear on the search results page. The display network now offers other bidding options like what we call CPM, which is cost per thousand impressions or views of an ad, and CPV, cost per view for video ads specifically. There's no fees to use Google Ads. There's no startup fee, cancellation fee, minimum contract, or commitment. You turn it on and off as you wish, and you can get started by visiting ads.google.com. And you will need a Google account like your Gmail or what have you, to get that kicked off. And I think this is something that I point that I really like to pause on myself. I think it's always worth bearing in mind that Google Ads is at its heart democratized advertising, and it matters less about levels of investment and more so about the relevance, the quality of the ads, and as I said, that experience that you're actually ultimately giving the user, right through from what they're searching for, the ad that they see, right through to the website, and how useful the content is relative to what they're searching for. And if those things are ticked off, everyone has just as much chance to really succeed and thrive on Google Ads as anyone else. So today's presentation won't cover the specifics of setting up campaigns or keyword research, bidding strategies, etc. However, the theme for many of our other September webinars is kind of advertising in general. So you might find our next two webinars in particular very, very useful. And I think Michael is going to share a link to these in the chat for you to check out if you wish. And I'd be remiss also not to mention Google's Help Center. It's something that I use on a daily basis. 9 times out of 10, I can find the answers to my questions there. And that I'm confident is going to be the exact same for any of you out there who are using Google Ads and kind of come across a particular query. Mike will also share that with you in just a minute or two. So what am I going to talk about? I'm going to introduce campaign types, help you choose a campaign based on your specific business goals. By focusing on your desired outcomes, the strategy will then follow after that. The Google Ads interface will help you along, prompting you to enter info and set up an appropriate campaign that can drive business results. And again, this is something that I really want to call out here and take a moment on, because it's something that I think Google has done a phenomenal job in investing in within the platform itself, within the user interface, in the sense that so many of these campaigns are designed really to be plug and play now. They're meant to be as intuitive to set up as possible, and certainly relative to how things were even 2 years ago or even 3 years ago, around the time when I first joined Google. The actual kind of product and the interface itself has come on in leaps and bounds, just even in the sense of simplicity and ease of use. So really is very, very easy to get started these days. So the golden question then is how to figure out what campaign is right for you. The first step is to clarify your goals. It's really important to ask yourself, why are you doing this? Why are you promoting your online presence? What outcome do you want to see as a result of the campaign? You might say, I want to make more money. I want to sell more products, find new clients, grow the business, hire more people, get donations. These are all legitimate goals, but they lack specificity. So let's look at a way to make your goals that little bit stronger. Let's say your goal was to sell more refrigerators. Yes, we're back to the fridges. How can you give this goal more structure, make it more actionable? One trick to achieve that is to incorporate something I'm sure many of you will have heard before, which is the SMART framework, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So starting with the S, is it specific and detailed? How many refrigerators is more? And what type of refrigerator do you want to promote? Can you track and measure this goal. We spoke about measurement before and how that's such a key value proposition really of online advertising and of Google Ads specifically. How will you know when you've accomplished it? Have you connected your Google Ads account to a tool like Google Analytics that can collect that data? And is your e-commerce platform connected into the mix as well? And that's really, really important when it comes to the likes of the shopping piece, which we'll again cover a little bit later on. Is the goal realistically attainable? So if you said 1 million refrigerators, well, maybe, but rather than pulling a number out of thin air, consider your past sales activity more specifically. You don't want to set goals that are impossible to reach, and you can always adjust them later. Is it relevant to your business? So will this goal help you reach your business goals ultimately? And does it drive the business result that you actually want? And finally, for the time frame, it's so important to set one and set an explicit one. When do you want to achieve this goal by? And it might be that you want to sell 25 refrigerators online in September, sake of argument. Okay, so our working example goal is to sell 25 refrigerators online this month. So when you create a campaign in Google Ads, you will see options to select a goal. The first option, sales, is a clear example of using an ad to drive business results, the sale. The user interface will guide you through the setup process for the campaigns that can help you reach that goal. Google Ads recommends trying search, display, shopping campaigns, and or video campaigns to help you reach the sales goal specifically. In addition to the ad campaign, be sure to set up features to help track and measure success, which again, I can't underscore the importance of enough, like conversion tracking within Google Ads and also Google Analytics goals if you have your Google Analytics hooked up to your Google Ads account. I'm going to introduce the campaign types as we chat about the business goals. So I'll start with an option that I didn't list on the other slide, and it's called Smart Campaigns. And Smart Campaigns are designed specifically for small businesses that want to promote products and services online. So you can choose a goal, more calls, actions on your website, or store visits, for example, and set up an advertising campaign in minutes. And I mean literally minutes. These campaigns use smart technology to effectively monitor and improve the performance of your ads continuously. One big advantage of smart campaigns, while we're on the topic, is that a lot of the work managing the campaign is entirely automated. Far less for you to worry about yourself. For example, advertisers don't need to develop keyword lists for smart campaigns. The equivalent, which is called a search phrase, in this case, is automatically generated. So advertisers can disable search phrases if you wish, but otherwise, this aspect of online ad campaigns is handled by the campaign itself and by the kind of the level of automation there. The ads compete with other ads in the Google Ads auction for the opportunity to appear on the search results page. Advertisers pay for interactions with their ads, like clicks on an ad or calls to a trackable phone number. So how do you set up a smart campaign? There's only 5 simple steps needed. 1, you select your goal. 2, you choose where geographically you want your ads to appear. You describe the product or service that you want to advertise. You write a very simple ad, set a budget, and away you go. You're ready to launch. Simple as that. Okay, so I'll bet there are a lot of businesses out there that don't sell products and services online. Maybe you repair refrigerators, but you don't sell them. Or maybe your refrigerators are really expensive and people need to carefully consider the pros and cons before dropping 17 grand on a fridge. Your goals might include lead generation, request for a quote, a scheduled appointment, whatever it might be. So for a lead generation campaign, what we generally recommend is search, display, shopping, and again, potentially video campaigns in the mix as well. So let's take a look at another campaign type and the one that you're probably most familiar with, and the majority of you listening in today, and those are search campaigns. So when someone searches Google, text ads can appear above and below the organic search results as we discussed previously, and the ads are shown for relevant searches to that ad. So in other words, if I'm selling refrigerators, I won't be able to show my ads on the search results page, when people search for things like Prince Harry's announcement or photos of the 2019 Met Gala gowns. Let's again look at a few examples. A text ad has effectively three parts: a headline, display URL, and a description. These are three separate headlines which you can promote your product or service in, calling out the key top line messaging. And the headlines are separated by a vertical pipe symbol and may appear differently depending on the device that the searcher is using. The display URL shows your website address. So the display URL is made up of the domain from your final URL, plus optional text you can enter in the path fields. So the path text can help people get a better idea of where they'll be taken after they click the ad. The path text doesn't have to match the exact language of the display URL, but you may want to just be a little bit more specific in terms of where exactly, or which section of your website that a user is actually landing on when they're seeing that final URL. Next up is the description. Very, very important. The description should highlight details about the product or service that you're advertising. You can describe features, benefits, promotions, shipping offers, etc. You can drive really business results by including a call to action as well. Really, really important, or CTA as we call it. So encouraging potential customers to take the next step. And if you're promoting refrigerator sales, for example, your CTA might be buy now or shop now. And again, that's something I really want to call out as well. So important to have that CTA in there and really be very prescriptive in terms of what you want the user to actually do and what action you want them to take. And that should obviously correlate with what your sort of end business goal is and what actually drives real tangible bottom line value for your business. So just so you know as well, the character limits for a text ad, obviously depending on kind of the business you're in and the kind of the language that typically gets used in your marketing collateral, sometimes we need to get a little bit creative to make sure that we fit in within these limits, but very, very important to respect them. So headline 1 can include up to 30 characters. Same again for headline 2 and headline 3. Description line 1 can have up to 90 characters. Same for description line 2 again, 90 characters once more. And then the path fields, there's 2 of those, and you can have up to 15 characters in each of them. Now, let's take a look at the second example ad on the slide. Notice how much more stuff there is here. The ad looks bigger. It is bigger because it's incorporating features called extensions. And again, I can't stress just how important extensions are. Extensions effectively expand ads with additional information. This typically increases an ad's click-through rate by several percentage points, sometimes considerably higher. The click-through rate, just so we're clear, or CTR as we call it, is the ratio of people who see an ad versus clicking the ad. In other words, the higher the CTR or higher the click-through rate, the more compelling the ad is generally considered to be. So extension formats include quite a wide variety of things now, including call buttons, location info, links to specific areas of your website, additional text, amongst other things. And Google Ads selects which extensions automatically to show in response to each individual Google search. So for that reason, it's a good idea to use all of the extensions relevant to your business goals, because extensions often increase your total number of clicks and can give people additional interactive ways of reaching you, as with maps or with calls. So again, bottom line here is the more the merrier when it comes to extensions, because as I said, they allow you to occupy more real estate, particularly on the likes of mobile, where if you can imagine you have quite already a small screen, suddenly you have a nice relevant ad from your business. You've got a lot of extensions populated around it, and suddenly you're taking up a huge percentage of that sort of visual real estate that the user sees when they make a search, making it very, very likely that they're going to click through on you. So again, that's definitely one top tip to remember and to take out of today. Extensions are absolute gold dust when it comes to your search ads and search activity in particular. Some extension types require a little bit of setup, and those are manual. And some extensions are added automatically when Google Ads predicts they'll improve ad performance. Those are automated. So adding an extension won't guarantee that it will show with your ad every single time, but extensions show with your ad when the system predicts that it will improve performance and if your ad's position and ad rank meets a certain threshold. So again, I suppose the kind of the key takeaway there is you want to make sure that your kind of fundamental building blocks are there in terms of making the ad copy as rich and relevant as possible, making sure the landing page that it's pointing to is as rich and relevant to that ad text as it can be, and then make sure, as I said, you have as many extensions populated and filled out within your Google Ads account to maximize, I suppose, give the system that maximum menu to pick from. And it will serve, as I said, as many extensions as it can where relevant, relative to the search that's being entered by the user. Important also to remember that there is no charge for adding extensions whatsoever. But if people click on them in an ad, the advertiser is charged as usual as you would be for an ad without extensions. So the exception is a click on seller ratings, and there's no cost for that click whatsoever. So you'd be charged when someone calls you from a call extension or when someone downloads your app from an app extension. Google Ads charges no more than 2 clicks per impression for each ad, and it's the extensions. Okay, so that's the first 2 goals down: drive sales and get leads. One of the 2 of the most meaty ones, I suppose. So before we move on to the next 3, let's pause for a few questions from the live chat if we have any. I'm just going to jump in now and have a look at what's coming up. Okay, so so we'll start with we have a good question here from field code, I should say. So for a new account that has been running PPC campaigns only for 2 months, what is the best practice? Allow Google to serve the most relevant ad per search, rotation feature, or manage them manually? Yeah, so a great question. So I suppose something that I've seen typically is, particularly when people are just kind of first starting off, and per your example, the account's only been running for 2 months. People, tend to understandably have a let's almost call it a separation anxiety, as it were, from kind of handing a large degree of control over to an algorithm or to machine learning or any sort of kind of optimized like rotation in this case, because rightfully so, you perhaps want to just retain that full sense of control in terms of what exactly is getting served. You may want to kind of test different variants, and an A/B testing kind of argument is something that we would hear quite often. But what I would say there is unequivocally, definitely it's so far more preferable really to go down the rotation feature version or option as you put it there in the question, because as I said, what it is going to do is every different variant of an ad that you create is going to get its fair share of field time, and it's going to be given a fair shot to prove itself, as it were. But the key thing is that you don't have to rely on constantly going in on a daily basis, manually checking what sort of variant or what sort of rotation specifically is kind of the winning combo. Google Ads is going to do that for you. And again, I think a golden rule from this really in general is that the likes of algorithms, the likes of smart campaigns, of automation, is always going to be able to learn faster than any of us ever can, and keep track and make real-time changes faster than any of us can. So I think that's just a kind of key thing to bear in mind, and a key sort of principle here. And so, yeah, to answer your question in that case, just definitely I would allow Google to serve the most relevant ad per search using the rotation feature, and don't worry about managing them manually, because as I said, the system will learn over time, and we'll get into a nice groove of performance that way. Sabrina Forsyth, great question here as well. So for small businesses with limited resources in-house, would a smart campaign be more beneficial than outsourcing in terms of campaign management? That's a great question. So again, I'll be very honest in terms of kind of my experience. The huge advantage of smart campaigns, as we sort of spoke about on the slide, is that kind of very minimal setup, plug and play, a sort of effect that comes with it. So with very little time commitment, you can get set up and running, get something live. So perhaps as a starting point, Sabrina, and particularly if you don't want to kind of go down the sort of the additional cost implication route of outsourcing or utilizing someone else to manage the platform for you, smart campaigns can be very simple, very effective, and as I said, do allow you to get out and get out there and get your message put out there straight away. What I would say though is that there are certain limitations with them, as you can imagine, because it is designed in many ways to be a sort of an introductory campaign type. So when it comes to wanting to make sort of more specific tweaks to the campaign, maybe to kind of introduce additional features, things like that, we can be a little hamstrung with smart campaigns after a certain point. So I suppose that's kind of a one to ask yourself. Ultimately, I suppose bottom line is, if you just want to kind of get the name out there ASAP, perhaps you have a kind of a particular time constraint, which means you really, now is a very advantageous time to get your name out there. 100% go with the smart campaign. It will get you up and running. And as I said, serves a very specific purpose. If you do kind of see Google Ads perhaps as a more fundamental kind of part of the strategy going forward, and of course we hope you do, then I would perhaps recommend, particularly if time is on the short side in-house, I'd recommend going down the outsourcing version, because as I said, they should have the knowledge and the expertise to set up kind of the more, I suppose, sophisticated campaign types, and we're going to cover a few of them in a few minutes. But they'll, as I said, be able to manage them, and you'll be able to perhaps get a little bit more out of it over a longer term. So I hope that answers your question. We'll just very quickly cover off two more, because I'm conscious of time as well. So Mohit Sharma, apologies if I've absolutely butchered your name there. I can assure you people butcher my one all the time. Does the cost of keywords change frequently? If yes, how does it affect your campaign? What is the bid, and how best to set and manage? So the simple answer is yes. The cost of keywords can change frequently. Now it depends on a number of different factors. So generally, the biggest thing really is how competitive the auctions and typical auctions for that keyword is. So needless to say, a huge query that receives millions, hundreds of millions even of searches every single day, Nike shoes, for example, is going to be by definition a more competitive and probably a more volatile keyword in terms of cost, relative to kind of a very niche term, or perhaps even your specific brand term, where there may be very few people kind of competing or searching for those keywords. But in terms of managing it, again, this kind of comes back to that first question from Field Code. So the simple answer, and what I'd recommend again here, is to allow the system to do the work for you. And again, that basically goes by leveraging a smart bidding strategy. So the advantage, as I said, of that is that on a real-time auction by auction basis, it will set the exact bid for you. But again, very crucially, under the umbrella or under the context of getting the business outcome that you desire. So you still have that element of control. You are still being very explicit in terms of what you want Google Ads to go out and do for you, but you don't have to worry about the nitty-gritty ins and outs of setting individual bids and associated bits and pieces around that. So, for example, you may say that you would like to set a target cost per acquisition, a target CPA as we call it, of sake of argument, €5. And so with that setting in place and you utilizing the target CPA smart bidding strategy, Google Ads will always try and go out and get you as many of those conversions or acquisitions, as it were, within that €5 threshold. And if you can get it for even cheaper than that, happy days. But that would be my bit of advice there, Mohit, on that one, is to, as I said, take the onus off yourself and having to kind of constantly go in and manually tweak things, which is very much, I suppose, an antiquated way of doing things. And as I said, I would very much look to embrace the power of machine learning, the power of automation, the power of smart bidding strategies, which again, the sort of internal research that we have done proves time and time again that smart bidding strategies tend to outperform manual bidding strategies by an average of 20 to 30% in terms of incremental conversions that you can get for your business time and time again. So that would be my thoughts on that one. And then just being very conscious of time. Lavinia O'Mahony, great question as well. Is there a way to select second ranking if your quality score is high enough to get the top rank? Yes is the answer. You should just use the top of page instead of absolute top of page in this case. And that's actually kind of quite a recent sort of change that was made, hence maybe some of the confusion there. But I'm sure Michael can further supplement that in the chat if needs be, if you want an additional clarification there. But the key thing there is just use top of page instead of absolute top of page, and that's the distinction. Okay, so with that, I think we will keep driving on. And as I said, not to worry, we will have a second Q&A section slightly later towards the end of the presentation. But we'll drive on for the time being. So what about attracting website traffic? So some website publishers want to attract more traffic. And in this case, Google Ads would typically recommend, again, search, display, shopping, and video campaigns. They can all help to accomplish that particular goal. And I'd like to take a specific look at display campaigns. So display ads promote your business when people are browsing online, watching YouTube, checking Gmail, or using mobile devices and apps. So how is display different, really? Well, with search campaigns, you can show ads when people search for specific goods or services. But what about people who aren't searching? So what if people don't know about your product or service yet at all? The display network helps you to capture attention earlier in the buying cycle or higher up in that funnel, and you can put your ads in front of people before they start searching. For example, if I was researching, you guessed it, fridges for sale, I might see an image or video ad showcasing a fancy fridge with a see-through door. I've never seen that. What a genius idea. I need one of those, actually. But you can also remind people about products that they've seen before. Remarketing is what we call that. And that is effectively, again, showing those ads, and sometimes custom tailored ads to people who've previously visited your site or your app. The display network itself offers a wide variety of different ad formats, including simple text-based banner ads, custom ads in Gmail that expand on the top tabs of people's inboxes, and image and rich media ads with interactive elements and animation. You can create responsive display ads, which is something that I also particularly recommend just from my personal experience, which is a partially automated format that uses text, images, and your logo to create an ad layout that's optimized to the website it appears on. These responsive ads can sort of blend in the look and feel of the website and potentially improve performance as well. Again, that would be, we spoke on the search side of things about the importance of extensions. On the display side of things, I can't stress enough that responsive display ads are the way to go, because effectively you are giving the system the maximum license to still serve a beautiful, compelling ad, but in as many different sort of variations and many different sizes, in as many different pieces of real estate all over the web as possible. And again, it just takes a lot of the burden off you. So I would really recommend responsive display ads if you're going to go down the display network route. In terms of the targeting, we can do that in several ways. So contextual targeting, which is matching ads to relevant site content using keywords and topics. You can target by audience, very, very important one. So reaching specific groups of people based on interest categories, on their demographic, and also on remarketing, what we just spoke of before. And you can also use placements to select or exclude specific websites and apps, including categories like live streaming video or sites that include sensitive topics like crime and emergency. So let's wrap this section with goals number 4 and 5, product and brand consideration and brand awareness and reach. So you might select product and brand consideration if your goal is to encourage potential customers to consider you when they're researching or shopping for a fancy fridge. You can also use the campaign to engage with people who demonstrated interest in your brand and encourage people to consider doing business with you in the future. After all, I might need some time to think about investing that much money in my kitchen. The goal of a brand awareness and reach campaign is to reach a wide audience and increase awareness among relevant audiences. So Google Ads would typically recommend the kind of the winning combo of display and video campaigns to achieve those goals specifically. And we're going to look at video campaigns next. And this is a quick area I also want to briefly pause on and I suppose speak again from something from my own personal experience, which is that something that we see time and time again is that advertisers tend to, over time, over-index on the purely performance-based sort of solutions within Google Ads. So namely search and shopping. And you know, the reasons for that are fairly obvious, and people see a kind of a more immediate return, a more obvious return straight away. But if I could offer one piece of advice, it's to not fall into that trap of I suppose getting over reliant and becoming over reliant over time on those purely performance channels, because as you can imagine, what happens is you know, our the kind of fishable pool of customers and users and clients eventually dries up if we only have that focus. So it's so important to supplement that and have a more medium term view, and that's where these more awareness sort of solutions like your YouTube piece, like your display network piece comes in. In other words, getting your brand name out there nice and early, nice and high up the funnel, early in the kind of the purchase cycle journey for a customer, and effectively find new clients that you didn't even know you had up to now. So important to not neglect the video and just the display side of things. So on video specifically, they do exactly what they say on the tin. They let you show video ads on their own or within other streaming video content on YouTube and also across the Google Display Network. So showing video ads might seem pretty sophisticated, but the setup is actually very, very straightforward. It's never been more straightforward than it is now. You can use videos from your own YouTube account, and like other campaign types, you can see the ad performance and you can also tweak targeting as well. I'll quickly fire through the 5 main different video ad formats. So in-stream ads run before, during, or after other videos on YouTube, the display network within games and also within apps. So ads may also run on YouTube videos embedded on other websites as well. After 5 seconds, the viewer can skip an in-stream ad. So I'm sure you've all seen many of those on YouTube so far. Video discovery ads is a YouTube only format. So they're seen in places where people discover new content, like the sort of discovery feed within YouTube on your homepage. Outstream ads show on our partner sites. So these ads are available only on mobile formats like mobile devices and tablets. Then you have non-skippable in-stream ads, and they have to be 15 seconds or less. But as the label suggests, the viewers can't skip the ad. And then the fifth and final format, in this case, is bumper ads, and they're designed to increase brand awareness. Ultimately, bumper ads are just 6 seconds or long, and the viewers can skip them if they wish. So what about if you sell products online and offline? There's one more campaign type that might be of interest, and it's one that I've alluded to a little bit earlier on. So at the very beginning, very top of the presentation, I showed an illustration of an example kind of search results page on Google. And at the top of the page, I pointed out where shopping ads can appear. So you'll see this type of ad on Google search, images, shopping, YouTube, and more when people search for products that you sell. So let's take a closer look at some example shopping ads. The key thing here, I think, is that they're more than just a text ad. They show users a photo of your product, plus a title, a price, a store name, and more on top of that. In these examples, you can see how fridges might appear. The ads highlight information like shipping product ratings. So star ratings can appear when there are 3 or more reviews, at least, of for the product in question. And you can use shopping campaigns to promote online and local or offline inventory as well, if you want to make a particular push for a certain product category that you have. Shopping ads use product data, this is a very, very key distinction, rather than keywords, to decide how and where you show your ads. So the product data you submit contains details about the products you sell, and Google Ads uses those details to match your ads to relevant searches. So again, another little pro tip, I suppose, for lack of a better word, that I'm going to throw in here is one of the, I suppose, key determinants of success with a shopping campaign is the quality of that product data that you submit, which all comes back to a thing called your feed and the merchant center, which we're going to touch on in a slide or two. But so important to have as much rich context about your product and have that data as accurate as possible. And that really sets you up for a lot of success with shopping specifically. So to sell your products on Google, you'll need to upload that information that I just spoke about into the Google Merchant Center, and then you'll have to create a corresponding shopping campaign within your Google Ads account. So this slide illustrates sort of the steps that you need to get started on that front. So first, you would create the Merchant Center account. It's available at no charge, and you do not need to advertise your products to use it. Next, add your product specifically to the Merchant Center. So there you'll create what's called a data feed, a file effectively that includes all of your product information, and that helps your inventory surface in Google shopping results. And you need that specifically to create shopping campaigns. Third, you'll need Google Ads account, as we spoke about, to set up the campaign itself. And fourth, you'll need to set up the shopping campaign itself. So if you're promoting local inventory, for example, there's one additional step. You'd need to create and verify a business profile at no charge using Google My Business, and connect with your Google Ads account. And I believe there's both been previous and no doubt future content around Google My Business as part of the whole Google Digital Garage series. So definitely worth checking out, and something, if you are kind of looking to ramp up your Google Ads presence, definitely makes sense to marry that with Google My Business and make sure that you have all of the relevant information there claimed and validated and ready to go. So we're going to pause for questions again in a moment. But first, I just want to wrap up some of kind of the main learnings from today. So first, we looked at online advertising, and we discussed that to get results, you need to be found online where potential customers can see you, particularly when they're looking in that crucial moment for info about the product and services that you offer. We looked at goals then as well. So this is important because when you focus on your desired business outcomes, the strategy will follow off the back of that. So determining your business goal at the outset will help you choose the most effective advertising campaign to achieve these goals in tandem with that. We also showed you the different ways to reach customers online. So showcasing how to bring visibility to your products and services in different areas of Google search results and other pages. So we will now jump into our second round of questions. So if there are any burning hot topics there that Michael hasn't managed to cover yet, please do keep them coming. And we will we'll answer them as best as we can. So I think Lavinia has another question here. So, do all of these platforms connect automatically if they're managed through the same Google account, as in ads, tags, GMB, merchants, etc.? So, in a sense, it's automatic is perhaps not the word that I would use. So, within your within any Google Ads account, up on the top right hand corner within your sort of general settings area, you'll see a subsection called linked accounts. And so often what's best thing to do is, so for the likes of your analytics or other properties like that, it's really important to ensure that everything is linked up correctly within that sort of little sub menu there. So to answer your question in terms of do they automatically kind of seamlessly connect, not so much, because as we said, you can create a merchant center entirely at no cost, but then and not necessarily serve any kind of ads for it or connect it to a shopping campaign. However, if you do want to, as I said, have that bit of integration there, which is what we'd recommend and is necessary for the likes of shopping ads, you would have to just manually hook up those two accounts themselves. But as I said, very seamlessly done. Only takes a minute or two. But yeah, that's kind of effectively the way it would work. I'm just trying to double check, Michael, if we have any other burning questions. If not, I can, I suppose, jump into a little quick final summary from my side. I'll give it. Perfect. Okay, I think we're good to move to our final wrap up. So just before I move on to kind of the the next steps and sort of how you can continue this sort of learning journey and where you can find out more more info. I just want to, I suppose, cover off a couple of my sort of key takeaways and things to remember. So we spoke about when it comes to the search side of things and how fundamental that is, but the value and the importance of two things really. Extensions, there, as I said, no additional cost, and they help to massively improve the relevancy of your ad, the click-through rate of your ad, and really a no-brainer to try and maximize those as much as possible. And the kind of the partner part of that is ensuring that your landing page experience is a really solid one. So for any landing pages that your ads point to, make sure, as I said, that they're loading nice and quickly, especially on mobile, and make sure that the user experience is good. So they're not cluttered with loads of different information. It's very clear what action you want the user to take. That's on the search side of things, really important. When it comes to display, then my kind of top tip there, as I said, is to leverage those responsive display ads, and to be, in truth, any area within Google Ads that you can leverage a responsive format. So there's such a thing as responsive search ads as well, but particularly with responsive display ads on the display network, saves you so much time, allows your display ads to be that bit more aesthetic and practical and useful and relevant. So really recommend those. Within the broader I suppose display side of things, another kind of very new or relatively new ad format which I'd really recommend you to check out is called discovery ads. You can find a lot about that online and even in the Google Help Center, as we discussed. And discovery campaigns allow you to serve ads not only on YouTube and on Gmail, but also within the discover feed within your Google search app on your phone, which, as we know, has, I think, something like 2 billion. Those are my just kind of personal top tips. And then just to wrap us up, I'd like to thank you all for your questions. And I hope that's been a useful dive into the fundamentals of Google Ads for you. I mentioned at the beginning, if you are interested in more training in the Google Digital Garage, there are a few ways that you can continue that journey. So we're running many more webinars in different subjects over the coming months. So if you'd like to check out the schedule of them, please see information down in the description below. There'll be different topics available to watch, and we'll be updating the schedule regularly. We'll also be leaving this video up for you to view for 24 hours, so you can relive my horrendous fridge-related jokes. And plus, if you'd like to carry on learning online in your own time, check out the Google Digital Garage website itself for more online training courses, which are available to you 24/7 whenever you need them. And if you'd like to share your experience on social media and to tell friends and family about us, don't forget that hashtag Digital Garage. And finally, if you do have any feedback from today's session, we're all ears. We'd love to hear it. And just complete that feedback form, which is linked down in the description box below. With that, again, I'd just like to thank you all sincerely for joining today. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we look forward to welcoming you again to another Digital Garage session very, very soon. And I wish you a lovely day and the rest of your week.